All right, everyone. So my name is Tony Shaheen. I'm the product marketing manager here at DRB, and we wanted to take this time to give you a brief introduction to Patheon, new next-gen point of sale. So before we get started here, you'll notice in the bottom of the screen here that there's a Q&A button. You'll use that to ask questions, and I'll do my best to answer those as we're going through the presentation. For any questions I don't get to, we'll have time at the end for Q&A, and if there's any that we don't get to, we'll be sure to send out all questions, answered and unanswered, with answers for you. If you're having any trouble with seeing that Q&A button, try clicking the View Options button, then click Exit Full Screen, and this will put the webinar into a smaller window for you. If you're having any technical difficulties, our team will be monitoring the Q&A button, so just let them know inside of there. The chat button you see there is disabled, so just make sure you direct your questions to the Q&A portion of the screen. Once this webinar is finished, we'll work on cleaning up the answers and questions for you, and we'll make sure to send the webinar out as well as those questions. And our target's usually by the end of the week. So. Right. So Patheon, it's an industry-leading hybrid cloud point-of-sale platform, and really what we were doing is we're taking the time to take a step back and rethink what the point-of-sale needs to be for the wash industry. We want to put more control into your hands of the wash management. We want you to be able to manage your customers efficiently. We want to reduce churn. We want to grow customer base. We want to engage with your customers. We're looking to analyze the data and the insights for timely and effective decision making. Patheon allows us to be agile in the car wash point of sale system. We're focusing on new ways to develop features and enhancements to you. So one of the new ways that we're thinking about Patheon is with agile development. So rather than developing in a waterfall platform where we take a feature and we work on it for 10 or 11 months and then we deliver it to you complete and established, what we're doing is we're breaking that up into what we're calling agile. So we look at it as if we're delivering the roller skate, then the skateboard, then the scooter, then the motorcycle, then the car. And what that does is it allows us to develop and deliver features that are going to be important to you sooner. And as we build upon those, we're going to create and complete full-blown features that will continually be developed. And so that's one of the differences with Patheon is we are continuously developing. So this platform will grow with you. We're continuously taking customer input. And so that is one of my responsibilities. So for customers that are Patheon customers, DRB customers, non-DRB customers, we're constantly taking feedback on what technology is needed, what features are needed, how we can improve, and how we can continuously make this better for our customers. And so with that, we are deploying updates to customers every 3 weeks. And so those consist of new features, fixes, bugs, anything that we deem necessary to improve the experience for you and your customer. Slide here. So Patheon was designed and built on a hybrid cloud architecture. And so some platforms you'll see they were designed and built for cloud only, and some were built for on-prem only, and all have their pros and cons. But what we decided to do is we designed and built this on a hybrid cloud architecture, which means we utilize both the cloud and an on-site model. So on-site, we would have what we call an appliance. This unit is where all of your processing occurs. So everything happens locally, but then it's synced up to the cloud. And so once those details are pushed up to the cloud, if you have multiple sites, it's then pushed down to the other sites so that your data is almost instantly transferred to your other sites. So if someone were to purchase a wash at one site, a plan at one site, then take off and head to the other site of yours, Even if they're a couple miles apart, by the time they'd get there, they'd be able to redeem a wash. So really effective. The other benefit is if there's no internet or no connectivity to the cloud, you can still wash cars locally. And so that's important for giving a good customer experience. So we want to be able to make sure that we can get folks through the wash efficiently and get them through at all costs. You have the ability to natively remotely access your washes. And so we understand that customers are growing. So if you have 1 site, 5 sites, 50 sites, it doesn't make sense to travel to each of the sites to manage them. So if we want to manage our sites, we can do that from one place, and we can do that on a web browser. So you can do it from anywhere. As we continue to develop, we're putting more and more features into that to help you and your employees manage customers and their requests. And so that's called the Patheon portal. So this is what you can access from anywhere. In the Patheon portal, you have the ability to configure products, plans, services, and set their pricing. You can do this all on your own whenever you want. This is for the busy business owner or manager that just has to make it on the run. You don't have to call into anyone. You don't have to wait for any information to be processed on the back end. Oh, sorry, I have a question here that distracted me. How quickly is the data pushed to the cloud from the time of transaction? Within seconds. So usually if there's a transaction that occurs on site, we see that replicated and dispersed to other sites within minutes. So very quickly. We have learned that our focus is the point of sale and the tunnel controller and the data and analytics. And so one thing that we've learned is that we're not cloud experts, so we partner with cloud experts. So we work with Microsoft Azure to store that data. So they are managing the communication to the site and storing that data securely. So to answer that question of how quickly is the data pushed to the cloud from the time of transaction, it's seconds within minutes that you would see that information transferred. So as we take a look at the portal here, this gives you the ability to modify your point of sale layout, including product placement and the images that you use. So if you have a team or are able to manipulate the artwork yourself, you have the ability to update that on the kiosk as well, right? The PTs. You have the ability to create and manage discounts. So you can schedule these out. You can prepare ahead of time, and you can do these instant. So if I want to plan for the 4th of July, I can set that up in the system, and I can actually put it on a schedule so that I don't have to go back in and activate it. I can set it to start on the July 2nd and then end on the 7th if I need to. So really letting you plan ahead for your business. You have the ability to configure your own profit centers for accounting. You can create operating schedule for each site to open automatically. You can configure and receive basic hardware and software alerts so that you know what's going on with your system. And you can even go back and check the history to see if something was going on so that when we're working with you, you can provide detailed information for us to help support any issues you might be having. We've built this all with you in mind. We want you to be able to manage this easily and effectively. We understand that you're worrying about your clean cars and happy customers. You shouldn't have to be point of sale experts. So we've built these with wizards to help you navigate through the steps. And what these wizards do is they walk you through and they keep you on track. So if you take a look, you'll see that these wizards will get through. You'll see across the top here, the wizard will keep you on track. You can see which step of the process you're in and where you're going. You'll notice that as you're moving through the process, it will not allow you to connect multiple items that don't belong with each other or it won't let you skip to the next step if you're missing information that's critical to the process. And so this is really important because we don't want to be offering discounts that are giving customers, double discounts or not giving the proper information that you were looking for. And so at the end of the process, you'll notice that there is the activation there at the top. It'll actually give you a summary of what you're worked on and let you know exactly what's going to be a part of whatever you've configured, whether that's a discount, a new plan, a new wash, and allow you to review before you put that into production to make sure you know exactly what you're working. We've conducted user interface experience studies with third-party companies that have monitored human interactions, the way that we work. How can we make this as simple as possible but effective to give you, the most power without having to be a programmer or an expert in point of sale? And then when it comes to the point of sale itself, so this is the unit that you would have inside of your office. So this is where the folks that would work for the wash interact. When you're looking at the point of sale, sometimes it can be very overwhelming. There can be tons of buttons. It can be, difficult when there's a customer that you're working with. And so we understand that the industry has a good amount of turnover in some aspect, and when new employees come in, we want it to be easy for them to be trained. And so this is very easy, very intuitive, simplified version to allow employees to easily service their customers without having to spend days and weeks learning the program. I remember the first Patheon deployment we did, we sent a whole bunch of teams out to understand, what's going on, what's it going to take to train these folks? And literally within the first 3 hours, we were trained up, and we actually had morning staff teaching the afternoon staff how to operate and do most of the basic functions of the point of sale. But you'll notice here that all the controls are right at the manager station. And so we've broken out to keep it simplified and have less buttons on one screen. And we've put tabs across the top. So you'll see you have your wash, you have your rewash, discounts or prepaids, and they're broken out based off the functions that cashier may need to use. Down the left side, you'll see you have the ability to check your active sales, your sales history, and your wash queue. You'll manage your customers. This is where you would add, edit information, check your cash balance, and then you could also check on your hardware. So you actually have the ability to open gates from the manager station and the tunnel screen. And so what's really cool about this is if we're in the tunnel and we don't have anyone out near the kiosks, we actually have the ability to open a gate if someone's having trouble at the kiosk and let them come through so we can help them. And this gives them the ability to run a little bit leaner staff, but still give a great customer experience. So we'd be able to manage them at the front of the tunnel or go into the office if we had to make a sale. Are family plans mapped and as easy to sell and service? Yes. So family plans have been completely redesigned. We call them multi-vehicle plans because we use them for many different instances. But one of the things we've done with family plans is we've made them available to be managed by our customers and their customers. So if someone comes in, it's very easy to add a vehicle to an existing plan. You can add the same plan for that vehicle, or you can even add a different plan. So if I have the best plan and I want to add my son and I want to give him the least expensive plan, we can do that. And what's nice is everybody has their own customer record. And so if I decide I don't want to wash anymore, but my son does, it's very easy to manage that and allow my son to stay on with no interruptions or issues when I can cancel my plan. The other benefit is through our mobile app. So we're called that the EWA. We'll talk about that shortly and I'll touch on it. but your customers via the EWA will be able to manage multi-vehicle plans as well on their own. So one thing I want to touch on here is, I don't have any images of it, but I think it's worth describing. We've also taken into consideration fast and efficient queues. So we recently upgraded the hardware that we use to read license plates at the XPT, at the kiosk in the lane. So we're able to get cars through faster. We've also redesigned the staff screens. And so what we're able to do now is we're able to solve most of the issues that customers have in the lane at the actual XPT at the kiosk. So we do not have to run into the office. We do not have to radio in. We can apply discounts. We can apply plans. We can even edit customer information now from the staff screen. It's been a completely redesigned experience. So we're now allowing barcodes to be printed for employees so they can walk up to the kiosk, scan that barcode. It'll log them into the staff screen. For security, we can require a PIN, or if we want to keep it extra speedy, we can remove that PIN to allow them in an instant. We're taking those screens and we're redesigning them so that it's easy to use and simple, but very effective, just like the whole theme that you'll see throughout Patheon. The goal is, how do we get customers in one of the first access points to your business through as quickly and efficiently as possible with the least amount of friction? We have the ability to apply RFID stickers if they're having issues with their LPR reads. So after so many reads, we have the ability to scan an RFID, stick it on their window, and resolve that issue for them moving forward. Did get another question here. Someone said thank you. Okay, cool. One of the questions was, what are we doing to curb voluntary and involuntary churn? That's a great question. So what we're doing is we're actually able to prompt customers now at the XPT screens when their plan is expiring, and if their card wasn't able to be recharged. So if somebody had a charge and they're in a period of where their plan still hasn't expired, but they have a 14-day grace period, now when they pull up to the kiosk, we actually post a screen in front of them that says, hey, your card is expired. Do you want to swipe a new card to update it? And I actually have some information to show you on our churn and involuntary churn here. So in Patheon, we have quite a bit of reporting. One of our biggest focuses is going to be on data, and it's giving you the data to do, make the decisions you need to make immediately in your business. And so what's interesting about that question I just received with the churn is, you can see here one of our newest dashboards is the plan churn dashboard. And so this is what we call Patheon Insights. These are live widgets that are different than your standard reporting tools. So inside of Patheon, we have our standard paginated reports. Those are going to include things like your general sales report, your house account activity report, your general financial accounting type reports. And those are all static. You can run them for a certain amount of time. They're all that information that you really need access to. But in addition to that, what we've developed is Patheon Insights. And we're actually going to be doing a webinar specifically on insights and take a deep dive into this because there's just so much to cover. But these are the live dashboards that you can access on any web browser. We actually have a mobile app that you can download and access this from anywhere as well. But one of the items I wanted to focus on was our plan churn dashboard. And we will show you the involuntary churn, the voluntary churn, your total churn. And we can even drill in to see who that churn is. And we can start to identify what the trends are. And so if you take a look below, and I know it's going to be a little tough on this image, you're going to see this graph, and you're going to see a lighter blue line and a darker blue line. What that light blue line shows is that's how many plans I've sold. And the dark blue line is how many have ended, right? So our goal is, if we keep that light blue line above that dark blue line, we know that we're we're advancing. And so to take that to the next step, to kind of understand our data a little further, is below you'll see what we created, which is a cohort analysis of this data. And so what that means is we noticed that in August, we sold approximately 2,400 plans. So there was a big spike. And what I know is that we actually ran a promotion in August. And so that caused the spike in sales. Well, if you go down to this cohort analysis, if we looked at August and we came over to September, we would be able to see the percentage of folks that renewed in September. And so if that's a higher percentage, 89, 90 plus, we know that that was a pretty effective promotion we ran. If it was like 20%, 30%, 40%, we'd know that maybe that we ran a promotion that was first month's $1, and a lot of people decided to not renew, cancel their plan. We had a customer who had a similar looking graph, but it dove off pretty severely. And so what we noticed was they were running a $1 promotion, and then before it renewed, a lot of people were canceling that. So we've started to take a look and notice that certain promotions are more effective than others. And so we've seen a really nice opportunity in identifying what kind of promotions we can run to increase and decrease certain types of churn. And that's a marketing type churn that we're decreasing. Look at the questions here real quick. So one of the things that Patheon does today is with LPR, we monitor and track all plan and non-plan members. And so this is going to give you a good idea of where Patheon is going. We want to take data and we want to help market to our customers. And so one of the recent deployments we've had was the ability to put promotional screens on the XPT, on the kiosk. And so what we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to link those two. So now if we have a non-plan member who shows up, we want to be able to put a specific marketing message up in front of them as they approach the wash. And so we're starting to take this data and we're analyzing it so that we can identify what the best marketing techniques are, especially for new customers. We're looking at the best marketing techniques for existing single-use customers, so those that show up to the wash 3 or 4 times in a month, so that we can target market them. So finding ways to capture those single-use customers. And that data will show up in these paginated type reports. Now with this Patheon Insights, if you see on the left side of that image there, we have quite a few dashboards, from plan insights to sales insights, and they're all manipulated dashboards that you can dive into and see live real-time data. You can manage those and manipulate those in ways that allow you to check by day, by plan, by wash, to really dig into your data deep. Next question. All right. And so the next thing I wanted to talk about was our essential web app. So with Patheon, we've gravitated away from a native app, and it's a mobile tool built for scale. And so it was designed to work through a web browser. So Essential Web App is built on progressive web app technology. So if you were able to open your phone, Android, Apple, a tablet, when you go to starbucks.com or espn.com, you'll notice it's a mobile app feel, but not a mobile app because it's happening through a web browser. And so what we did is we took the EWA and we designed that as the main source of the web browser, or of the mobile app. And there's a ton of great benefits to this. One, you don't have to have a native app if you don't want to, which means you do not have to modify it every time and run it through the Google Play Store, through the Apple App Store. You can make remote changes through the portal that we talked about. So if we're making a pricing change at the kiosk, at our manager stations, the general price change altogether, we can reflect it in the EWA as well. And so what we're doing is basically the ability to take a web link and direct you right to the mobile experience. And this can be used on a computer, on an iPad, and still have that same experience. So it'll resize based on the device you're on. And so as you can see, we can put promotional text. We can offer specific discounts for those who actually sign up in the app and manage their plan through the app. So customers will have the ability to buy plans, manage their accounts, manage their multi-vehicle plans. So this is the ability, like I mentioned earlier, I could personally go into my own wash account and add my son, my wife, and manage that on my own. I can change my credit card, update credit card information. I have the ability to view all of my receipts, anything that happened at the kiosk, anything that happened on the mobile app that I purchased, anything that occurred in the office. I have the ability to come in here and set my home location. So if I have multiple sites, I can come in and set my home site. And what that does is it gives me the ability to apply the accounting to the correct site so that we can see our revenue accordingly. And one very new feature that I wanted to talk about here is what we're calling the EWA, so the Essential Web App Pay-As-You-Go. And so we've taken a huge focus on unlimited plans, and we're continuing to drive down that path. But one of the focuses was many of my customers, they have 40, 50, 60% unlimited plan members. And then we're thinking, how do we capture the other 40, 50, 60% of single wash users? And so what we decided to do was, instead of doing single wash purchases, we took and we designed what we call EWA Pay-As-You-Go. And so what your customers will have the ability to do is they can come into the app, they can enter their credit card information, they can select their favorite wash, but not have to purchase a wash immediately. And so then what would happen is, if they add their vehicle and you're using LPR, they would have the ability to come into the wash, scan by LPR, and then the system would automatically charge them for their favorite wash that they chose, open the gate, and put them into the queue. And so what that does is that gives them the member experience without having to purchase an unlimited plan. And so we've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of customer input to say that they have multiple repeat customers in that 40 to 60% that aren't plan members. And so what we're thinking is, how do we give them that experience? So now they don't have to prepay for a wash before they come in. They set up this device once. When they get to the wash, they're able to use the members lane. They don't have to pull their phone out. They don't have to pull their payment out. They don't have to pull a QR code out. They don't have to put their window down. They don't have to interact with a kiosk or a person, and they're treated just like an unlimited one. And so this gives them the ability to quickly come through the wash. They still pay full price. And then what they'll do is they'll see the receipt and they'll be charged immediately. So they don't have to buy it a couple hours ahead and worry about, oh, I forgot to go to the wash. If they don't go to the wash, then they're not charged. So we've seen a lot of positive views around that. With the reporting, that's all cut separately. One thing I did want to touch on actually with reporting that I think is important is something that we call segments. And so when you look at the portal as part of the reporting, we've started to take the data and pull it out so that you can do something with the data. And what that means is we've taken and created different segments for your customers. We created 13 actually after doing some research and interviews, but then we also give you the ability to create your own. And it's basically taking different pieces of your data, combining it, and creating your own segments. And so a couple examples would be new plan members in a discontinuing state, inactive members, members that have a high frequency of visits per month, And what we're doing is we're giving you the ability to filter that data out and take it to do something with it. And so you have the ability to filter that data down, take it, export it as a CSV file. And then what you can do is you can take that and upload it to a texting platform, an email platform, and you can reach out to your customers. So maybe it's a customer that is discontinuing. Maybe their card expired, or maybe they canceled their plan. And so that's part of the churn question earlier. Well, we can actually reach out to them and say, hey, what was the issue? Was it a bad experience? Were you looking to save some money? If we want to offer a retention discount or a coupon, we could offer that and give them the opportunity to try to come back and earn their business. Let me check the questions here. So one of the questions I just received was, will we be able to use other credit card processors? With Patheon, we'll be using WorldPay and Card Connect. And one thing is, Patheon is EMV only, so no ability to swipe a card. The benefit to that is with using EMV only, we do not need to fall into PCI compliance, because with EMV, it's all stored on the reader and then sent off. So Patheon is not storing any of the card data or the information that could be breached. So that's one less worry for you. So one of the questions was, what about for car washes that don't have the license plate reader for verification? So with what we just talked about in the EWA, if you do not have LPR, but you do have RFID, what will happen is if you enter your license plate, you'll actually be given a QR code. So when the first time you come to the wash, you'll be able to scan that QR code, and that'll notify the staff that they need to assign an RFID sticker to your vehicle. So then they'll apply the RFID sticker like you would for an unlimited plan member. And then what'll happen is the next time they come in, the RFID reader would then read that sticker and then do the same process as I mentioned with the LPR. Just read the sticker, charge them for their plan, and then charge it to that credit card and let them through. So same experience, except for the first visit, they would have to get an RFID tag. And by the way, I am to the last page here for Q&A as I'm starting to run through a few of these questions here. So if you do have any questions, feel free to enter those. How will this work with the API? That's a good question. So with Patheon, we have developed an API. There is a bulk data API that is read-only, available today. What that means is you have the ability to read your data. And we moved to an API because that's an industry standard, and it's more secure and better managed by us, and really a better experience for our customers. It's formalized process, so when items are changed or implemented, it's across the board, it's effective for all customers, it's thoroughly tested properly. But with the API, it's bulk data, which basically means you pull large chunks of your data, and then your tools that you or a company you partner with would take that data and turn it into something. And there's super fast read rates. I think you can pull data every 1 second if you want, and then process that data. And I know there is a fee associated with access to the API. I believe it's a smaller upfront cost and then a small monthly fee, but a salesperson would be able to help with that. Yeah, so this question here was, are you able to accept Apple Pay and Google Play? So yes, we are able to use Apple Pay and Google Pay. I'm sorry, Pay. I think in the Google Play Store. So yes, we can. When it comes to NFC and tapping your phone, the one problem you'll run into, and this is just for everyone with processing, is when you tap your phone, you get a one-time use token. And so it's really good for single washes or single purchases, but it does not work well for unlimited plans because you are not able to recharge. So in the event that you want to use Apple Pay, it works better in the office. So someone's there to manage it. And it can work for the first time use at the kiosk, but when they go to get recharged, it's going to fail and not work. So there is a caveat to that, but that's just how it's working across the industry since it's managed by the processors. So the question is, when is the rollout? Is there additional cost? So Patheon is deployed in the field right now. We have gosh, I don't even know off the top of my head, over 40 organizations and probably close to 60 sites now using Patheon, and that's continually growing. It might even be more than that at this point. There is additional costs depending on your situation. It's always different. That leads into another question I saw about hardware. So depending on if you're a SiteWatch customer, we kept in mind that we wanted to use the modern hardware that we have. If it's very outdated hardware, there may be some hardware upgrades. A good one is that EMV one I mentioned. If you don't have EMV today, you would have to upgrade. As for folks that don't have DRB, I know there's some programs we have for upgrading to Patheon, and obviously there would be new hardware needed for those. Although Patheon does work with a variety of tunnel controllers, so it just depends on your situation. We would do, as part of our process and analysis of your site, a walkthrough of the hardware, how you operate, how your site operates with software and things like that, so that we could give you a very accurate overview of how things would work, what hardware changes you may need, and how that implementation would go. How long is the integration process typically? So my understanding of that question would be, how long is it to upgrade to Patheon? We start ahead of time. So usually if you know that you're going to go to Patheon, we do a lot of the work up front, but there's a lot of planning for what washes you want to use, how your workflows are, what hardware you may need integrated. Let's say we have all of that set up. You have your hardware, you have your plans built, we've built it all on our end. Usually if everything is set up on your site, our team comes in usually ahead of ours and starts the setup, and you see the deployment of Patheon from anywhere to 4 to 6 hours. And then we begin training on site for the software, but that's making sure everything, all of our homework ahead of time is completed. That's a really light answer, but that's something our team could walk through with you and ensure is laid out for you properly. If you sell merchandise, do you set up each item as a product with a price? Yep. So you set up each individual item, and then you would address the group. So they're asking here, can you group products? So products would go to their respective profit center. So if you have wash items, automotive, that's exactly how that would work. Another question was, man, you guys are sending them in here. Give me 1 second to catch up. So this is a good question. Does it alert you when club members haven't been in for a certain amount of time? That way you can cancel their membership. So that's a good question for if your motto is, hey, you haven't been in for X amount of months, we're not going to continue charging you, we'll cancel. So that falls into the segments I mentioned. So one of the segments is inactive members for X amount of time, which you can set. So you would have the ability to go in and run that manually. It wouldn't be an alert that pops up and tells you, but in the segments, you could go in and say, what active members have not been at the wash in X amount of days. You can run that report, and then you can do whatever you want with that information. Whether you send them a note to remind them, or you decide you just want to cancel their membership for them, you do have access to that information. Automated emails. So when it comes to email and text receipt, that will be coming. That is expected to be deployed by June. As for marketing type emails, our marketing branch of the company, we do have options for drip campaigns and things like that to help retain customers or grow. So we do have that as an add-on through our SUDS marketing arm of the company. Boy, that was a lot of questions. This point, we've got 3 minutes left, I believe. Oh, support. That's a good question. So, if you're existing SiteWatch customer or DRB customer, you're familiar with our Knowledge Center. So we have over 100 Knowledge Center representatives who support our current customers today. And obviously they were all experienced in SiteWatch and Washify and our other products. And so the same goes for Patheon. So what we've done is we've created a core team for Patheon, and we are continuously hiring because of the rate that our Patheon customer base is growing. So that team is growing, and we're also doing cross-functional training so that everyone who takes the phone calls in the Knowledge Center has basic troubleshooting and knowledge of Patheon and its support. Let's see. So this does this is more of someone who has SiteWatch, but it'll flow over to others. So if I have SiteWatch today, it said, how would switching to Patheon affect me and my customers? So I touched lightly on, we have a detailed process to analyze your current workflows and setups, lay out the timeline, and show you where we're going each step of the way to implement the process. But while that's going on, let's say you have 5 or 6 sites on SiteWatch today. We have tools that will actually allow Patheon and SiteWatch sites to communicate so that it's a seamless experience for your customers. So ideally, we like to do the conversions very close to each other so that it's very quick. But in that short time where there's a couple of sites that might be on Patheon and SiteWatch, we do have tools that will allow them to temporarily communicate so that your customers don't see any hiccups during that time. So that is that's how we would solve for the customers in their experience. Looks like we're to 245 here. Is it Windows based? It is Windows based software. Are customers required to give out phone numbers or email addresses to sign up? Yes. So if they're signing up, they are required to give a phone number, but not an email address. We've talked about making that a feature-enabled item where you can choose if you want that to be required. One of the issues we've noticed with that is efficiency in the lane. When folks are signing up, sometimes it takes a long time to go through the process and enter an entire email address. So the number one required item, though, is the phone number. Are there any plans to stop supporting SiteWatch? No, not right now. SiteWatch is here. It's been around a long time, and it is still being developed and focused on for support. So not at this time. There are not plans to stop supporting it. Okay. I think that was the last of the questions I have here. There are two that I don't know the exact answer to, so I will make sure I get some answers to those for you, and I will include those on the summary when we send this out. But yes, I appreciate your time. It doesn't look like any more customers or any more questions are coming in. But yeah, so as we're finished here, like I mentioned earlier, you will get a copy of the webinar video. You will get a list of all these questions. I have quite a few to answer here. So I will make sure we type up all the answers and have those in the email as well for you. I will do my best to get those to you by the end of Friday. What I'm going to offer to this group is a follow-up webinar with question and answers and a live demo. This group who came here. So we haven't settled on a date for that yet, but I wanted to make sure I announced that in this meeting. So the next step would be we'll have a live demo with questions and answers as well. And in the meantime, if you do have any questions, we'll be sending out information for contact. So you'll have a sales rep who's local. They work with me on these types of things. If we need to go in depth on a demo with more questions, I'll usually be the one who comes in on that and be able to work with you. So if any more questions come up after this, feel free to share them with us and the team. Other than that, I appreciate you taking this 48 minutes to listen about Patheon, our new point of sale. And outside of that, have a nice day. Thank you.